Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting of the York City Planning Commission to order. May we have a roll call?
Johnson,
Here.
Davis, so I didn't hear from him, he's absent. Velez,
Present.
Burgos,
Present.
Wolf,
Present.
and Richardson is excused, she's on vacation, and Knowlton has resigned, and hopefully we will have her replacement by July, there's hoping.
Thank you.
Maybe not July's meeting, maybe by August meeting.
Thank you. Minutes from the previous meeting. Has everybody had a chance to review them? Are there any changes or additions, deletions? Hearing none, is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve the May Planning Commission minutes.
I second.
Motion second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? So moved. Committee reports, Zoning Hearing Board.
So I just emailed that case to you guys, because you said you wanted it emailed to you ahead of time, so that Monty doesn't have to read the decision, so it is in your email.
Thank you.
Everyone had a chance to review them? All right.
I just got word from Matthew.
Oh, good.
He's out of town until.
Matt is out of town, so he's excused.
Okay. I was trying to look back through my emails to see if he did send me an email. He might have sent it to me like the day after the other meeting, which is too long.
Is there any unfinished business? Do we have an update on the comprehensive plan?
No.
New business, land development, subdivision development for 1001 South George Street. I understand we have a presentation. Could you provide your name for the record, please?
Sure. Joe Stein with Warehouse. We're the civil engineering firm for the project. Here to present to you this evening the final land development plan for the WellSpan York Hospital Surgical and Critical Care Tower. We are just doing a presentation tonight. The York Hospital campus is rather unique if you're not aware. It is covered both by the City of York and Spring Garden Township. So we have a land development into both municipalities. At this time, we've received comments from your city engineer as it pertains to the subdivision land development and zoning ordinances. Stormwater is still under review, but we don't really have any concerns with the initial comments. We're really just going to focus on the presentation of the project to you all here this evening. So in your packets, if you feel like looking, you can turn to LD3, which is an existing conditions plan that covers primarily the southern portion of the campus. So the south would be over here, north. South George Street is at the bottom of the page, and Irving Road is at the north. Irving Road's western right-of-way line is the municipal boundary between Spring Garden Township and the City of York. The entire new building is situated completely in the City of York. However, Spring Garden Township then creeps back in as you move west, and we do have some improvements in that area, such as utility extensions and whatnot, which we'll get into in a little bit. As part of this project, we've already had South Hall removed, so this building footprint is going to be on the southern end of campus in the area of Ketterman Building and South Hall. And as I mentioned, South Hall has already been taken down to the slab. Ketterman demolition will begin very shortly. Abatement begins this week. West Drive is also in its current configuration slated to be demolished and relocated. When you look at historical photos of the campus over the years, West Drive keeps getting shifted to the south as the buildings expand farther and farther to the south. Jumping over to LD5, you will see the new footprint of the surgical and critical care tower. It'll be connected to the existing building and will be many stories high. We were previously here with the Zoning Hearing Board to seek variances as it pertains to height. We're going to exceed the height limit, and we had at that time proposed an encroachment into the building setback. We have on this page, you can see the relocated West Drive, new connection to be coordinated with Spring Garden Township at Irving Road. There's a new drop-off just to the east of the emergency department drive here. So if you look coming up the bottom of the plan, you have West Drive. The first road that would spur off is the access point to the current emergency department. As you head a little bit farther to the east, there will be a new drop-off, which is at level 2 of the new building. And then if you continue on, you can go to the south parking lot or ultimately up to Irving Road. Any questions on that so far? Keep going. All right. So the land development plans covering the relocation of West Drive, the new building itself, and on LD7 you can see all the utilities that are proposed as part of this project. Lots of utilities servicing this building, pulling together all the infrastructure on the campus. We have an NPDES permit in review with the York County Conservation District because we have over 1 acre of earth disturbance associated with this. It's not a very large footprint. We're just about 3 acres of disturbance, but it is a lot of intense work and a very vertical project here. So it's a very impactful project in this little pocket of the campus, but the footprint itself is not overly large for what you may have thought going into this otherwise. So there's that. The interesting thing about this project as far as it pertains to stormwater management is, if you turn to LD14, is that we are going to handle the majority of stormwater management through green roofs. And they will be a variety on a variety of levels here at the new tower. There will be occupiable green roof space to the likes of which does not exist anywhere around this area. We do a lot of stormwater management design, and this is a very unique situation in that the hospital and WellSpan is committed to sustainability, and as part of that, this LEED Gold design will incorporate these green roofs, and the one level will have occupiable space so that patients and staff can go out there and relax and enjoy the views and have lunch or just rest on these green roof areas. So this is the primary area that we're waiting for comments back from your city engineer. It is, like I said, our sole factor for handling stormwater management, aside from a little pocket that we do have down in the level 2 drop-off area that is an underground detention system as well. So those are our primary stormwater management BMPs for this project. Erosion, sediment control, all that stuff being reviewed by the County Conservation District as well as is required. Lighting plans wrap out. I didn't bring any details to show along. Didn't want to bore you too much. I do have with me several members of the design team and WellSpan staff here if you have any questions. But with that, that's generally the presentation. Be glad to answer any questions you have.
I just have a quick question. The secondary stormwater, is that a capture and release system or infiltration or what?
So we have a little, so the top, the green roofs will remove the volume increase, and then it'll have a rate control component to it, and obviously water quality as well. As part of the LEED requirements, we actually had to capture more stormwater with LEED than we did with the NPDES and city's stormwater management ordinance. So we have the underground system that'll be in the level 2 drop-off that'll be for infiltration, which is for the volume reduction, and also will factor as a rate control BMP as well.
Okay.
But there's no infiltration of the water that lands on the green roof. That'll be absorbed by the plant life that exists up there.
I like the concept. Any questions?
I did want to mention that we will be seeking 2 waivers, both pertaining to preliminary plan, one from the SALDO and one from the Stormwater Management Ordinance. So those are the only 2 waivers that we've identified at this point. If through the rest of the review with the municipality or with the City of York, if anything else is identified, we'll certainly present that in July. But as it stands right now, we're very confident with the design. The review, I believe, reflects a good design, and as I said, we are coordinating with staff, both here in the city and Spring Garden Township.
Have you had any issues with any review questions so far?
None.
None? Good.
So
Staff had,
Joe,
staff-
you are, are you gonna, I think you have to, they'll present the stormwater calculations, if I'm not mistaken. You present them to C.S. Davison,
Yes, those have been given to Derek,
Right.
and he's been reviewing them.
and then also, what you get back from PA Water, American Water for the sewer.
Yes, so we're coordinating all the utilities, sewer for PA American, York Water Company as well with new service. Also, I should mention that there's a York Water line that kind of runs east-west from George Street to Irving Road that'll be relocated, as it currently runs under what would be the future southern tip of the building. So that'll be coordinated and relocated through West Drive. So we actually have a request into York Water to meet with them. Also, there's a lot of coordination with Med Ed, certainly a lot of power to this facility, but we're also looking at moving the utility poles on the west side of Irving Road to the east side. WellSpan owns several properties up there, so we're planning on making the jump across the street and running the new poles and wires along WellSpan-owned residential properties, and then making the jump back across the street. It'll improve the aesthetics, and then that way, it'll improve the aesthetics of the streetscape, but it also will prevent someone in an upper level room looking out and seeing wires, which seems like you could reach out and grab them. It's really not that close, but the thought was to move them away a little bit more so that it doesn't have that obstructed view from the patient windows on the higher levels.
And how's that approval process going?
It's currently in design with Med Ed.
Okay.
They have a whole new program and process. We thought it'd be done by now, but it's getting there.
Any other questions?
Anything from you all?
Would any of your compatriots like to add anything?
Okay. We won't twist our arm. So, like I said, we're looking, coming back hopefully in July. We're hoping to get the stormwater management review soon so we can get that taken care of. And then we would certainly be seeking some recommendations for approval next month.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your time tonight.
Have a good evening.
Thanks, you too.
Thanks, Joe.
Our first case is 1060 Marbrook Road, Lane, Apple Service Center. First we hear from staff, and then we ask the applicant to step forward.
So, site design, Scott DeBell, sorry, Scott, is here to talk about, so basically, from what I understand, that this is going to be, it's a parking lot right now before you get to the car wash, and they're going to build a detail center there. If anybody has accessed their car wash at all, ever, there's a small details place with it right in there, so I'm assuming they're gonna close that one, maybe make the car wash bigger or something, and then have the separate detail shop there. So Scott did submit the land development subdivision separate, which is, from what I understand, the proper way to do it. So that's all we have. He's just asking for a few waivers, and if you read the, pretty much went into detail what between Derek, York County, and myself in the review.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Scott DeBell with Site Design Concepts. Like Nancy said, there's a subdivision plan and a land development plan for this project. The first is the subdivision plan. We have a lot at 1060 Marbrook Lane, which is south of Marbrook Lane. And there's a second lot at 1128 Roosevelt Lane, which is north of Roosevelt. They currently share a property line divided amongst two properties, and we are looking at shifting that property line to the south a little bit to add additional property to 1060 Marbrook Lane to facilitate the land development project that we're talking about as well. So it's a simple lot adjustment. It's not creating any additional lots. It's just changing the size of those two lots. There are two waiver requests. We're requesting a waiver of preliminary plans, which is a combined preliminary plan, and a waiver request for curb and sidewalk improvements along Marbrook Lane and Roosevelt improvements, associated with this subdivision.
So basically, you're looking at just changing the sizes of the two lots.
Exactly.
Any questions? Anyone? If there are no questions, is there a motion? Do we have a motion on the waiver for the submission and approval of preliminary plan?
In my motion, will I use Marbrook and Roosevelt in that? Noting both of those addresses, or do I just use Marbrook?
You can use both.
Okay. I make a motion to recommend approval of a waiver per section 1333.03, which requires a submission and approval of a preliminary plan prior to consideration of a final plan for the properties at 1128 Roosevelt Avenue and 1060 Marbrook Lane.
I second.
Any further discussion? May we have a roll call?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll wake up here. Johnson,
Aye.
Velez,
Aye.
Burrows,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
so pick the motion carries.
Do we have a motion for the waiver for requires curbs and sidewalks?
I make a motion to recommend approval of a waiver per section 1336.03, which requires curb and sidewalks on both sides of the street for the properties at 1128 Roosevelt Avenue and 1060 Marbrook Lane.
I second.
Any further discussion? We call the vote?
Johnson,
Aye.
Velez,
Aye.
Burrows,
Aye.
Wolf.
Aye.
So that's unanimous. So, that will be, I'll do a, wrong one. But I'll do for the, for city council, and they only meet once a month.
That's fine. Do we need to do approval for the recommendation for the plan, subdivision plan itself?
That's what the first one was. He didn't read, since the proposed subdivision plan is a single-phase project, middle of the final subdivision plan is requested.
Okay.
So, yeah, you'll submit that, but that's what that's for,
Okay.
for the first one.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'll do the, it'll go to city council in whatever their July meeting, I don't know if it's the first Monday of the month, but I'll send you the, agenda, so you can show up in case they have any,
Yeah,
in case they have any questions.
Thank you. The second plan is related to the lot at 1060 Marbrook Lane, which will be made larger by the subdivision plan. It's currently a paved parking lot. It is a proposed 17,000 square foot building for Apple Auto to be used as a detailing facility. It'll just be used, it will not be open to the public, it'll be used by the dealerships to detail the cars for the dealerships. So like Nancy said, it is just, here's the car wash facility, just to orient you to the west. The parking lot extends to the east. Looking at adding this detailing facility within the limits of the existing parking lot, and just adding the necessary utilities, and redoing the pavement and the pavement markings around the building to provide access around there while maintaining the remainder of the parking spaces.
And so that, section isn't on there, I don't know why, but copies put that in there. The only difference is that it's a land development plan and it's 1333.04. Same thing, but it will just be for, cause you're only developing the land on Marlborough, correct? So you only will vote on Marlborough Lane, you only have to mention the Marlborough Lane. Everything else is just that, goes from the land development, from the preliminary to final. Sorry about that, I'm gonna write that in here for the minutes.
So it is, so like I was saying, it's two waiver requests, waiver preliminary plan to combine preliminary and final. And there is curbing along Marbrook, but there's no sidewalk, and there's no sidewalk anywhere within that development, so waiver of the
Right, and so that'll be just like the other, like just at the 1336.03, except for it will just be Marlborough Lane.
Okay, so the first one is just to approve the final land development, and that's 1333.04. And then the second one is the exact same, except just for Marbrook. I can do the curbs first. Okay. I'll make a motion to recommend approval of a waiver per section 1336.03, which requires curb and sidewalks on both sides of the street at the property at 1060 Marbrook Lane.
I second.
Any further discussion? Call the vote.
Johnson,
Aye.
Velez,
Aye.
Burgos,
Aye.
Aye.
And a motion for the waiver for submission of the preliminary.
I make a motion to recommend approval of the final land development plan per section 1333.04 for the property at 1060 Marbrook Lane.
I second.
Any further discussion? I call the vote.
Johnson,
Aye.
Velez,
Aye.
Burgos,
Aye.
Aye.
Mary. Now,
Thank you, sir.
someone's gonna stay with me from the next one, too.
Okay. The RSDC parking lot configuration.
So, this is just, last month, they came in front of you for the trash dumpster thing and the artscape around there. This is just for the waiver for the land development waiver, from a preliminary to a final to waive the land development. So it didn't require any review from CS Davison. So, and the only big question I think that was there was about the curbing, and you'll note that I did attach from the Public Works from Dave Rudolph, his comment on that.
Okay.
So again, I believe this isn't something that I've been working on, but I was here and I'm coming from the office. It's been discussed with staff, and CS Davidson about the references that's appropriate for a waiver of the land development plan. I think as Nancy said, it's a reconfiguration of parking, in the Royal Square District, in the area of, Newton Ave and Howard Street, both on the east and west side of Howard Street. Reconfiguring the parking lot, adding a dumpster, enclosure that would service the neighborhood area, and adding some, walking areas around the parking lot as well. And also, like Nancy said, there's a number of murals, and paintings that are designed on various walls and, structures, around the perimeter of the parking lot as well.
So Scott, I think the concern with everybody involved in this was, so it's cool. However, where are people gonna come into the parking lot from? Because you're actually gonna get, I think it's 4-inch curbs now, that are there. Where are actually the people that come into the mural park, or where are they going to park? And where are they gonna come in and exit that parking lot?
I believe it would be at the end of the drive aisles, and if we need to make, and if there is curb there, we'll need to make adjustments to a depressed curb, if that's what you're saying.
Well, I think, hold on, let me see what, I forget exactly what Dave said. Hold on. So we were asking about, do you have to have a curb from a safety standpoint, that if it's not required by code, that he'd be okay with it? As far as the curb where the people are gonna walk, I can't pronounce that word, bituminous walking path? Bituminous, okay, there we go. So, that they would be, mountable, that would be mountable by design, that you can actually mount them, actually go up over top of them with cars, but they were concerned for the foot traffic for the people who were gonna be visiting the mural sites, are you gonna have some sort of I guess, that not everybody's mounting the curb or, parking here, and that the people that are walking are gonna be safe.
Yeah, I don't think there's, the, sort of in the brown colored area around the perimeter is the intended, areas designated for walking. There is not proposed to be any, curb between those, just because it is an existing parking lot, but the intent is to not, cover that with parking spaces, but to leave it for some separation, for walkers.
There's also gonna be a trash dumpster site, because initially, I don't know, that was back before myself. Initially, the parking went right to, is it Howard? That's how, no, which one is this one that runs east and west?
Newton runs east-west.
Newton, right. So they should have had a little bit of a setback from the parking, but they did not, so the parking it's already existing.
So basically, to park your car in one of these lots, you have to go up over the curb? Is that what I'm understanding?
So it's not like a curb. What, pronounce that word again for me, I'm sorry. Right, yeah, so it's not like,
It's not a.
not a curb cut, but it's not a curb where you would be walking down here on George Street and gotta get up to the curb, get up over the curb. So you're not gonna bottom your car out if you mount over top of that.
But the intent's not to drive over the walkway, it's to enter on Duke Street, correct?
Well, you would cross, if you're coming in off you'd be crossing the pedestrian, like crossing a sidewalk.
With-
So when you pull into a driveway,
What's the reasoning for not having a curb cut for a drive access?
I think just because it was considered mountable, it wasn't a vertical curb that prevents.
Because Duke Street is a PennDOT street, I also believe as well, which
Yeah, it is.
is a lot of red tape to get a curb cut in there, so, yeah. And that's the way it is now, correct, too?
Correct, yeah.
So, and I think eventually, well, and there's some apartments and things that will face out into the mural park eventually, maybe some balconies and whatever they do with places on Princess Street as well, eventually, in the future.
If I remember correctly, this site had a plan at one point for development. I forget if it was a community center or for apartments or whatever, but this is a new plan to me at least. What happened to the previous?
I'm not sure.
So the previous, I believe, was for across the street, for Princess and Howard. They were gonna build, it's still in the works, but I think it was funding, that sort of thing right now is kind of on hold type thing.
Any questions? Do we have a motion on the preliminary plan?
Sure. I move to recommend approval of a waiver of a submittal of a preliminary plan under section 1333.03.
Yeah,
I don't have
Property.
like a location.
Oh, it's 139 South Duke Street parking lot. Doesn't really have, it has a bunch of different, a whole bunch of different addresses, but it was on 139 South Duke Street.
Property at 139 South Duke Street.
Second.
Who
Any-
seconded it? Gordon.
Any further discussion? I call the vote.
Johnson,
Aye.
Velez,
Aye.
Burgos,
Aye.
Aye.
you can use 139. You can use 139 South Duke Street for the second one then, too. That'll be okay.
So do we have a motion for the final plan?
I make a motion to recommend approval of the final, is it a land development?
Yes.
Final land development plan under section 1333.07 of the property at 139 South Duke Street.
Second.
Any further discussion? I call the vote.
Johnson,
Aye.
Velez,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Burgos.
Aye.
Yeah, you eyed for him.
Switched them.
That's okay.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry, I just looked up and went down the line. All right, thanks, I'll forward that to you, okay? Mm-hmm.
Have a good evening. Zoning Appeals, Case 30-2023-Z-V-SE, 645 West Princess.
Last one but not least.
I'll go ahead and, hold on, I'll go ahead and read this. I'm going So, the summary, the applicant is seeking a special exception for the use of 3 variances to bring the property into compliance with zoning, with the zoning ordinance as a multifamily licensed 2-unit. The applicant's variance appeal number 1, the applicant seeks a definition variance since the proposed use does not meet the ordinance requirement of a conversion from industrial, institution, or commercial. The property is a single-family home. Staff has reviewed the variance provisions of 1311.10.d. Therefore, staff recommends a denial of a definition variance to allow 2 units for the property at 645 West Princess Street. Variance Appeal 2, the applicant seeks a dimensional variance since the proposed density is less than the permitted by the zoning ordinance in the district. Staff has reviewed the variance provisions 1311.10.d and finds the property is big enough for the proposed 2 units. Therefore, staff recommends approval of a dimensional variance to allow 2 apartments for the property at 645 West Princess Street. Variance 3, the applicant seeks a variance to the special exception condition that the property has not been vacant for 2 years of section 1311.11c. Therefore, staff recommends denial of a variance to the special exception condition of the property being vacant for 2 years for the property at 645 West Princess Street. And special exception number 1 for the use, the zoning ordinance permits multifamily conversion from a different use by special exception in the zoning district at 1304.1.1.02.002. Staff has reviewed the special exception provisions for this property. Therefore, staff recommends approval of the request for a special exception to allow multifamily dwelling at 645 West Princess Street, pending all variances are approved.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Could you provide your name for the record, please?
Yeah, Jackie Hernandez.
And could you give us a little more details?
Details. Yeah, we purchased the house like 8 years ago, and it was sold as 2 units. And after we went to the city and get some permits, we found out they was not legally divided into 2 units. And we did the renovation and we rent a house for just 1 unit. So down the line, the house burned out due to hassles for the house next to it. And we want to take the chance now to convert it into 2 units. It was always been 2 units, and fix and renovate everything that needs to be done in order to update the house. And in order to obtain the permit and divide it into 2 units, and since we all know after the pandemic, the city has grown rapidly. because of the immigration from people from areas like New York and New Jersey, and they're looking for an apartment, and it's not being easy to find it at low cost. It's getting more challenge for people to find housing in the city area. By increasing more properties, the city will receive more revenues in taxes. And also, as I said before, the house 645, it was involved in a fire due to a deteriorated property next to the house. And due to the time that being the fire and the fixing, we are willing to wait the 2 years that is recommended for the division of the house into 2 units.
So you purposely left it vacant for 2 years?
We could do it. Right now, it's vacant.
You could do it.
Yeah,
How
right
long?
now it's vacant because it was into a fire.
How long ago was the fire?
It hasn't been vacant for 2 years. So
No,
that's what
yeah, that's what he
That's why
said.
she needs a variance for
Yeah.
that special exception.
But it's been vacant for 6 months? Yes. So by the time that we get all the permit and everything and get everybody in board with the permits and fixing, it will be 2 years. So that's right. We're studying, instead of fixing for one house and then request for 2, we just want to do it now. It makes more sense.
Right, the variance, Jackie, it is, before you come to zoning, has it been vacant for 2 years?
Yeah.
She's gone for the variance and no, it hasn't. But, so, it kind of is a moot point if it doesn't need to be vacant. If you get approval for a
Yeah.
2-unit, you could put somebody in there right away, if it were ready.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But he asking me if I will be willing to let them, it's okay.
I have a question. You said it was a 2-unit apartment when you purchased it.
Yes.
So you were under the assumption that it was legally
Yes.
purchased that way.
Yes.
Does it have separate utilities then?
It does.
Okay.
I don't know how that happened, but the
It
previous.
happens a lot. Apparently,
Yeah.
it's a thing here in York City.
Yeah, we found out for the hard way. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Have the renovations been completed?
Not yet. As you see, we just cleaned the fire hassle, waiting for the approval and permit. You have pictures of how it look now, so.
And I just want to clarify, this is West Princess Street, not West Jackson Street, like this photo in our packet, correct? It's West Princess
West
Street,
Princess.
not West Jackson, like the photo
No.
in our
See
packet.
West Jackson.
Your aerial grid is, or the aerial grid is West.
Oh,
Okay, sorry about that. I was like, I thought everything said West Princess Street there.
yes, West Princess Street. Oh, yeah.
I guess when we were doing this together,
Yeah.
I got the West Jackson Street one instead of the West Princess Street one.
Yeah.
Any further questions? Any other comments from staff? Do we have a motion for the definition of multifamily?
I make a motion to approve the variance to the definition of multifamily conversion from the different use as defined in section 1304.01-1.02.002A at 645 West Princess Street.
Second.
Further discussion? Call the vote.
Johnson,
Aye.
Velez,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Aye.
Motion for the variance to waive special exception.
I recommend approval of the variance to waive the special exception provision to that the property must have been vacant for 2 years, found in section 1311.11C1 for the property located at 645 West Princess Street.
Second.
Any further discussion? I call the vote.
Johnson,
Aye.
Velez,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Burgos.
Aye.
And a motion for dimensional variance.
I recommend approval of the dimensional variance of multifamily conversion from a different use found in section 1304.01-1.02.002 to include conversion of a single-family home into 2 units for the property of 645 West Princess Street.
Second.
Further discussion? I call the vote.
Johnson,
Aye.
Velez,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Burgos.
Aye.
And a motion for the special exception to allow
I recommend approval of the special exemption to allow the multifamily use as defined in section 1304.01-1.02.002 at 645 West Princess Street.
Second.
Any further discussion? Call the vote.
Johnson,
Aye.
Velez.
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Burgos.
Aye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, Jackie, you know you gotta come Thursday, right?
Thursday. And then, am I gonna get the permit to start getting the renovation or no? Should I wait for Thursday? After Thursday. All right. All right. Perfect. Not a problem. Thank you. Have a good evening. Bye.
And Cherie had to leave, so she was here, she had to leave,
For her presentation.
yeah. I didn't actually see her, but Monty did. Huh? I didn't see her, but yeah.
Any other matters? Any comments from commission?
So when will we have an update on the comprehensive plan?
Well, if Jada had not been on vacation, she would have given an update. The last thing that we did, and I don't know if it was for the comprehensive plan, that was a part of it, we did it was just for our department, like the videos for the department to introduce ourselves, that was it. But yeah, I have not heard anything else because you guys got to be in those meetings. I mean, as the,
Like I've never received anything about any meetings.
right,
for
and there
this.
hasn't been any correspondence with me to say, hey, we need to have the representatives from the planning commission. Because it's you and Corey, yeah, the two of you, right? Are you two, Mike?
Yeah.
The three of you, that's right. So, no, I have not heard anything. And so, have you heard anything? So it's been, it's just like Jada, and that's who I would suspect, Jada or Nona, that it would come from, that we're at the next step. Haven't heard anything, because you will hear from me immediately as soon as I hear, because I don't want to spring something on you and say, oh, okay, now you got to be here, and, and you guys have to rearrange your schedule.
Can you remind me what these meetings are going to be?
With the what now?
What the meetings will entail? What are they going to?
Your input, you guys, your committee, you're representing the entire planning commission as far as your input on, they will, I'm sure, go over what they've accomplished so far. Some key points, talking points, that sort of thing, and any input that you guys might have as far as before we get to the final hearings and that sort of thing, of what you want to see beyond that point, or, what we've already collected, because we've already gone out to the neighborhoods. They had some good, very good turnout, and some not so good turnout. So
are
I
they
haven't gotten anything,
are they basically?
huh?
I think we asked this last time. Are they using data from when we did this before, or like when we did the town halls before, or are they starting from scratch?
Oh, no, we didn't start from scratch, no.
Okay.
It was about 75 to 80% completed. So, and I know the estimated time is somewhere around September. But like I said, I you know, I can put something out again, because we have our meeting when? Monday, our executive meeting. I put them out there, I think it's what, the 26th? We decide we're gonna have a monthly executive meeting. Oh, I thought I sent everybody the invitation. Did I send you guys the calendar invitation? I swear I did. Swear I did. Because we decided, because I thought I made them all up, so, hold on. Because we were gonna have them, were we gonna have them every month or every?
Every quarter.
Every quarter. So I did send it out for the quarter. So the next would be August, right?
It should be.
Yeah, hold on.
Yeah, I have it. Oh, wait. No, I don't.
Chris swore I did. I apologize if I didn't. I will get on that, but I thought for sure I did. Next one would be August. Huh. All right, I'll make that up tomorrow. I'll make that up. But, I mean, we definitely are gonna have to do something. I'll also send an email out to Nona, and since Jada's on vacation, see what's up, see when they're gonna get the three of you involved. You know, as far as meetings, or are they gonna be during the day meetings and the evening meetings? That sort of thing, because they asked me to form the committee quite quickly, then I sent the email out to whoever wanted to be involved, and the three of you said yes, so.
It would be nice to have at least a week advance notice.
Oh, yeah, oh, definitely, oh, yeah. I don't think that they will say, hey, tomorrow, I don't think so. I just don't know, I mean, like, I've been off, so I haven't been in the office, but that's why I asked Monty, and he would have heard, since he's been in the office, and it's kind of been dormant, right?
Okay, anything else? Hearing none, we stand adjourned.